Under the layers where secrets lay, Amy and Kelly will lead the way. Going off script, they're keeping it raw. Skincare truths that drop your jaw.
I had the worst facial on Saturday.
What happened?
From aloe
They burned my
dreams
face
to
off.
clay and steam. Breaking it down, what does it mean? No shiny mask, no fancy place. Just honest talk to light your days. What's the deal with that serum glow?
Finally,
Is that
oh, I'm so sorry, Emily. I'm like, girl, you already made me wait 10 minutes. And then she brought me back to the room. Nothing was ready. She was on her phone the whole time and her hands were really cold. I'm over it.
Did she do any type of consultation with you? Did she tell you at all what she was doing on your skin?
Oh, I saw you filled out a thing. Oh, you just want a relaxing facial. Okay. No.
Were you relaxed?
No.
This doesn't sound very relaxing.
Maybe she was just having a bad day and I have to give her the benefit of the doubt. And it didn't look like she had swept that floor. And then I started to question, am I on clean linens? So she put this mask over my face. I am absolutely traumatized. I don't know what kind of mask this was, but it was kind of jelly, but I felt so claustrophobic and I had a panic attack on the table. And she wanted to leave it on for 20 minutes or so. I'm like 4 minutes in. No, girl, you have to take it off.
Well, did she ask you if you were claustrophobic?
No.
I mean, that would have been the first thing I did is made sure I asked those types of questions in the consultation to ensure that that doesn't happen. Letting you know that it's about to happen right before you would apply that type of mask, especially.
So would you have left her a 1-star review or would you have gone and talked to her personally?
I would just bring it up on my podcast and blast her online.
There you go. We see a lot of people popping off on social media about their bad experiences. When your clients come to you that they can have the best experience ever and you would never know, sometimes it is the littlest things that make the biggest difference or the littlest things that give the ick. So let's start with the booking system.
If it is difficult, people are going to be more likely to be calling you asking for questions, or they're just going to move on to the next place. So it is so important to make sure that it is very clear, very concise, and what they want to book is easy to find.
One time I got text message response when I booked something. The text message response had the wrong address on it and I went to the wrong address. If you have a booking system and you move or something changes or a policy changes that we have to let people know about, they have to remember to update all the parts. So if you get an email kickback, a text kickback, even what's listed on their website and the policies.
Especially for those first-time clients or clients that you haven't seen in a while, or if you move, the first couple of visits that they come to the new location, make sure you're sending out that appropriate address, giving them a picture of what the door looks like, especially if it's a little bit more complicating how to get to you, because if it's more difficult, if parking is more difficult, they're more likely to be a little bit late. And now it's really hard to fault them and cut their appointment short when they've been driving around for the last 20 minutes looking for parking. How are they going to come in when they come for their beautiful facial massage or nail treatment? They're stressed out.
Yeah.
And so we want to make sure that they are coming in feeling empowered, that they know exactly where they're going, that it's not intimidating. Make sure your website is also up to date. I've seen that where it's summer and they're still promoting their Christmas time specials. Or, we're in the fall and they're still talking about spring fling. If you have like an about me for staff, that is all up to date.
That's true, because sometimes people will follow other people. I didn't even think about that part. Feels like a lot because you have a booking system, you might have a website, or the website is tied in, with that booking system. And it's a lot of pieces and parts and you can feel overwhelmed. However, that is the way your clients are going to find you, get to you, book you, all the things.
Like if you have social media, I know sometimes that could be its own full-time job. Is the last time you had any type of post 2019? In which case, if your website is linking them to your social media, but your social media has zero activity, that doesn't create that best first impression. That first impression is what makes people decide to book or not book.
So I walk into your spa. If I have multiple people at the front desk, everybody's standing around talking to each other on their phones, I am not happy. And it sounds Karen-y, and I don't really care. There's such a line between expecting exemplary customer service when you're paying for that service and then being overly Karen.
I do get a lot of like social anxieties, or I'm a little bit nervous. I am an introvert. So if I go to a place and they are snobby, they're kind of like looking down at you, you don't feel welcome, you regret your decision of coming to that place immediately. Or if you walk in, you're not sure where to go, you start just questioning, am I in the right place? Are they even here? Are they going to show up 10 minutes late? So you have to be welcoming.
Exactly. Imagine walking into somebody's house, you're newer to their house, and they just ignore you. Oh,
Yeah, no, that's no good.
that would no bueno.
It's not one person's responsibility to do that greeting. If there was another team member up there for any type of reason, they should also say, oh, welcome, you're going to have a great service today.
We have to just assume, I think, as business owners, everybody's an introvert and everybody's socially awkward and go from there. And if they're not great, but assume that. Maybe they're coming in for a vulnerable issue that they need to deal with. They're going to be much less likely to be transparent with you as an esthetician who's trying to help them with whatever issue. They're going to already have their walls up. We want to show them around, show them where the restrooms are. Consider what it looks like when they first come in. Is it super cluttered? Do you have boxes everywhere because you're unloading something? And if you do, apologize. Forgive our mess. We're working on redoing, unloading. We just got a new shipment in.
And definitely try and do that in quieter times.
100%.
And I understand that it's a lot because there's so many different things that we have to do in that setting. You don't want to be necessarily folding laundry every time that they're walking in, because also too, does that look the most sanitary when you're just tossing your face cradles on the keyboard so that you can check this person in. Now they're starting to, again, wonder about the sanitation.
I think everybody has a different standard of clean. You need to get outside opinions, people that are going to be brutally honest with you.
Absolutely.
Because it is not the same for everybody. And clutter is one of the worst things that you can have for most people. Clutter automatically brings my anxiety levels up.
And especially if they notice something and then a month later they come back and they notice that same thing is still there. They're like, yeah,
that spider web has been in the corner.
Anything that has been
For 4
cleaned
weeks.
in this place in 4 weeks. Yeah.
So what does it look like? What does it smell like? You always want to keep your aromas, especially in your common areas, to something that is as pleasant as you can for everybody. Nothing too rich, too kind of niche. And it affects people more than they can probably put words to.
They're never going to complain and say, oh, well, this, your magazines are super outdated and that's why I didn't come back.
Exactly.
They're just going to tell other people that that's the reason.
Let's talk about the intakes and the consultation. This makes it or breaks it. In order for people to feel comfortable, to let their guard down, to be transparent, and genuinely trust you and allow you to help them, this is where this happens. You make them feel comfortable by when they first walk in the door, and now this is where this happens. And it starts with, of course, doing some type of an online intake, but that is literally your guide to pick out questions that you're going to verbally face-to-face have, and it does take practice.
Yeah, we should always tell them basically why we have things on the intake form, because if we're not, they just think that you're being nosy, or they might think that it's not important to tell you about different medications that they're on. Telling them your name, that's a great way to start.
Exactly.
It sounds silly, but I just assume people know me all the time.
So to recap, let's make sure you're reviewing those intake forms prior to the client walking in the door.
This is not a good way to introduce yourself to somebody. Or even worse, Okay, let's get started.
How many times have you been in a doctor's office? I know I have, where you've filled out mountains of papers.
So much.
And then they ask you the same questions over again. And I think part of it is to find the transparency in your answers. But if you're not asking follow-up questions, that is a problem. So you're on birth control, and I'm asking questions about birth control. How long have you been on birth control? Why did you go on birth control? Is it just for birth control, or are there other issues? Because those issues can affect what I put on your skin and how your skin reacts to something.
But also the type of birth control, because especially if they are experiencing breakouts, there could be some type of like link or tie through there as well. So again, knowing additional information is going to help you with your treatment.
The person that's coming to you that may be on a slew of medications, whether it's for type 2 diabetes or whatever it might be, blood pressure medication. So all of these symptoms, issues, meds will affect how the skin needs to be treated. We can't assume that that person understands the correlation between
Absolutely.
blood pressure, diabetes, birth control, etc. The correlation between that and skincare.
How often do people read the actual information that comes with medications?
Not very often.
Not very often.
Well, because it's
How do
also
they
like
know?
multiple pages.
There's multiple pages. It's teeny tiny little writing.
Yeah.
So they don't necessarily know all those precautions. And so they're not correlating that with skin.
Mhm.
They're not realizing that there can be that effect. Honestly, people just sometimes don't know. Maybe they are just started a whole new skincare routine that they saw from their favorite influencer on TikTok. And it's filled with AHAs and BHAs. And so they don't realize, they're like, oh, I just picked it up at Sephora. It can be something that we need to know.
Because they create that sensitivity, and that's a whole nother video. The other part about asking those deeper questions is that that client feels seen and heard, and you are establishing that relationship and trust. And establishing relationship and trust, if you think about any kind of relationship with any type of service worker or any type of business that you may frequent, if you trust that person, you may pay more because you trust them.
You will follow them anywhere too.
And you want that. You want that client retention. You want those relationships. I'm not saying you have to be best friends. It's not about that. You still keep it professional. Explaining the why behind the questions, because we need a baseline. If we don't have an honest, transparent baseline, and then some other detail that actually really affects the outcome comes out of the woodwork all of a sudden, several things can happen. One, the esthetician gets blamed. They had a reaction. They broke out, or they had pustules, or something happened because we didn't have all of the information. And whose job is it to get that information? It's the esthetician's job.
Yeah. I was doing a couples facial with another esthetician. We both did, really thorough consultations. It was on the intake form as well as verbally asked about allergies. No. Halfway through, her client casually mentions, and I'm allergic to shea butter. And both of us, eye contact, crazy eyes, mouth open. And I had to sneak over, pick some products for her and shoo some out of the way, because that's something that is a pretty common skincare ingredient.
All about asking those follow-up questions. Always, oh, I forgot about this.
Yeah.
And that's okay. We're human. You are scared to ask questions, and you're an introvert and you're socially awkward as the professional. Suck it up, buttercup. Find a mentor that teaches you how to speak. Look at people in the eye. You have to find out certain information. For example, how compliant are you? So if I give you one thing to do at home, can I trust that you're going to do that, and I'm going to follow up and get the feedback on it? If I give you a sample to take home, try of something, I genuinely want to know how you do with it. Are you going to go home, say, and stick it in your bathroom cabinet? People do that. No judgment.
All the time.
But I'm not going to waste my time and my money to give you stuff if you're not going to use it. And that sounds harsh, I know, but that's the reality of doing business. You've got somebody like, heck yeah, you give me a list of 5 things and I'll go home and I'll do all of those things and I'll do it regularly. Boom.